Hey everyone, this time on Tim Talks Audio, we continue our stock plugin series, this time going over the Bitcrusher. If you've been looking for a way to really mangle your audio and give it almost like an old-timey video game kind of feel, or just some real nasty sounds, Bitcrusher is going to be your best friend. Let's dive into the DAW and take a look at the controls for Bitcrusher, and then we'll get into some audio examples. Let's dive into the DAW and take a look at Bitcrusher and all of its controls, and then we'll take a listen to what it can actually do. So here it is, Bitcrusher. We are working inside Studio One version 5, and there's been updates to all of the graphic user interfaces, or GUIs here, so it's just going to look a little different. If you're working in an older version of Studio One, a lot of the controls are still going to be the same, it's just not going to look exactly like this. Okay, so let's get into the controls. You can see that it's already broken up into different sections, and let's start from the left in the rec section. Okay, up first is bit depth. This control here allows you to change the bit reduction amount to the audio you're putting this on. This goes anywhere from 1 all the way down to 24, or actually in reverse, 24-bit or all the way down to 1-bit. Next to that is downsample, and this applies the amount of downsampling you want to do to the audio in question. You'll hear the examples of this later, and this control goes from 1 to 40, and you can see what it's doing in the representation here. But like I said, we'll get to the audio examples in a bit. Underneath bit depth and downsample, you'll see the dirt button and 0 button. With the dirt button, when you engage it, it introduces a high frequency instability of the bit depth. So it'll actually cause it to almost warp around a little. This is kind of like a modulation, but not really. You'll hear it when we get into it. It really gives it more of an aggressive sound to your bit depth reduction. Then next is 0, and this really emphasizes the downsample ringing effect that can happen when you actually downsample. Alright, up next is the color section with the overdrive control, clip, and the digital, overflow, and fold buttons. Let's start with overdrive, which does exactly that. It introduces this analog warmth, anywhere from clean to really, really fuzzy. Then you have the clip control, and this sets the threshold for the clipping effect built in. When it's at 0, there's no clipping effect happening, but as you reduce it, it introduces this clipping effect. And the style of clipping effect is selected by these buttons down here. Digital is your standard digital style of clipping, where it just makes it more of like a square wave. Overflow inverts and offsets the peaks that you are clipping. And fold introduces harmonics by also inverting the waveform, but it doesn't offset it. Now we move on to the display here, and this area gives you a rough representation of what this effect is actually doing. Then you have the sign button up here, and you can hit this button to view a real-time representation of the audio going through. We'll turn this on and off later, and you'll see what I mean. Then at the end is pretty much your standard global section. There's a mix knob, so you can do some parallel processing. This goes all the way up to 100%, where it's all wet, or 0%, where it's all dry. Currently, the auto gain button is engaged, so this auto makes up the gain lost in the bit crushing effect. But you can turn this off and adjust it as you see fit, whether by reducing or increasing the gain of the output. And that's it. Those are all the controls. There's really not a lot going on, but what it can do can be a lot. It can kind of be overbearing too. Let's get into some audio examples. I have this little song going on right now, and I want to change the intro to it. Let me play you what I have so far, and then we'll kind of come up with some ideas for the beginning. So there's a rough mix of this song, and I really want to do something to the intro of this song. And I separated my drums to a different track here because that's what I think I want to affect. And that's where we have the plugin conveniently anyway. So let's do that. I'm going to open up Bitcrusher and turn it on. Starting off, I will loop this section and we'll just kind of bang through some presets. Then I'm going to pull open something that I worked on before that I think really fits what I have going on here. And if you noticed, I have a gate going on, but we'll get to that later. Okay, I reset this back to default, and I'm not even going to do a lot. I'm going to start playing with bit depth, and you can hear what's going on. I'll do it in the mix, and then I'll also solo the drums out. So you can see this plugin can absolutely mangle your audio if you want it to. But what you can do is be very creative with this. As I was messing around, it gave me inspiration for the intro of this song. I kind of wanted that retro video game sound. So I actually went in and made a preset. All I did was grab one of them and make some adjustments, because that's what you should do. Start with a preset and make your adjustments. So that's what I've done. And this is what I have. Now you could probably hear it. The cymbals are still in there, but they're trying to do what cymbals do and have these long sustained notes. And for me, it's just creating noise, and I think it would be very distracting. What I want to do is make this more of a retro video game style thing. So what I've done is combined it with a gate. I have a gate beforehand because I really want to clamp down. I just want kind of the kick and snares and the tom fill to kind of go through the gate. It'll let some of the cymbals through when it opens up, but I don't want these long sustained notes. So I'm going to engage this. You can see I have some pretty aggressive settings here. And I have it before the Bitcrusher. So now listen to what it's doing. And if we take it out of solo and play it with the mix, we can blend this effect in and then let this yellow percussion sample and riser thing bring us into the rest of the song. So I'm actually going to take the loop off and let it play through. So there it is. I got the retro video game sound that I wanted and was inspired to create using the Bitcrusher plugin. And that's just on drums. You can use Bitcrusher on any element you want, and it will do exactly that. It will reduce the bit depth, it will introduce downsampling, it can add distortion and some clipping effects, and you can really mangle your audio with this plugin. Let's move over to something else. Let's go ahead and put Bitcrusher on that same intro piano we had. I'm just going to drag it over from here. I'll put it back to default, and again, we'll just kind of go through some of the presets that are in here and see if we can come up with something. Okay, I kind of like this preset. So let's change some things to make it really kind of sit within everything else we have going on. And just like that, we've turned this piano almost into a multi-layer instrument because it has the piano, but because of our mix knob, we're introducing almost a synthy kind of sound underneath it. This plugin can be a lot of fun, and you can get some really interesting sounds and really, like I said before, destroy your audio in a kind of cool way if you want to. So there it is, the stock plugin Bitcrusher. I hope you have fun exploring this plugin and seeing what it can do for your productions of any style. You can see this is kind of both an electronic song and a rock song because of the big guitars that come in later, and I found a purpose. It gave me that retro video gamey kind of sound that I wanted in the beginning of the song. That's all for now. If you found anything informative, please like and share the video. For more, visit timflansbaum.com. And if you have a question, ask it in the comments and I'll answer it in a future video. Thanks for watching.